So in this case, I want to make a railing across here, right at the stringer, and I want to draw it custom because Revit's tools doesn't quite give me the flexibility that I'm after. So component model in place allows me to draw just about anything in Revit on the spot. So in order to draw a railing, though, I need to tell it, Revit that is, where to draw this item. So what I need is a reference plane. I need to draw a reference plane here somewhere. Let me draw it right there. And the reference plane becomes the origin that the railing gets placed onto. And again, it's like a chalkboard, a piece of glass. If I were to give this a name, railing plane, you can also click on it and give it a name here. Then you can place the railing on top of that plane. It'd be centered on it. And so if I draw an elevation, Revit knows in elevation where to put the railing. And as I move this line up and down, the entire railing follows. So I'm going to place it exactly where I want the railing to be. Let's say I want the railing to be aligned with here, and then I'm going to move it down a little bit. I'm going to move it down an inch. So I want the railing to be centered right there where that green line is, my reference plane called railing plane. Then what I do is I switch gears and I go to elevation view, and I tell Revit, and let me hide this floor for a second. Hide element. I'm going to tell it to draw my railing in elevation. So I'm going to sketch it out here. I'm going to go to component, model in place, and because I'm drawing a railing, I'm going to choose the railing family or the category here. So when I hide railings, this thing I'm drawing will disappear also. So call it whatever you like. So with the tools that are available, what I first want to do, which I find easiest, is to draw a profile, like a wall or something, that whose edges describe where the railing will follow. It'll become the path I'm using to draw the railing, and the railing is going to be attached to this invisible wall. So walls are extrusions. But before I draw anything, because I'm in elevation, Revit needs to know, well, where am I drawing? Am I drawing on that back wall, at the face of this stringer, or somewhere else? Well, that's why I drew the reference plane with a name. Because of that, I can come into here and choose the name of my reference plane, which is railing plane. And so now, as if there's an invisible piece of glass, exactly where I want it to be placed for the railing, in front of me, I can draw on top of that surface. And so now it knows where to draw the surface. You see here, it's set to that plane. So now I can draw an extrusion. And as you know, I can just pick objects here. I can just follow along this edge. I can then, let's say I want it to be offset by 3 feet. I can just pick 3 feet. I can begin to offset, or whatever dimension you're after. And then maybe here, I want to draw an object that connects. I don't want it offset though, make that 0. Connects there, so my railing is going to be at an angle like that. And maybe the top one is going to go this way and up, and perhaps I offset it 3 feet as well, whatever dimension you're after. And I trim these pieces. So there, I want the railing to follow this shape, but it's a wall. So when I accept it, and I accept it here, I've built a 3D model right there of a wall. And what I'll do is I'll use this wall to trace my railing as a guide. And then I'll add the vertical members and other pieces and parts of this model as I go. So let's go back to elevation. I drew this sort of section here. So I take this and I go back. I click on the wall and I edit and place that model. And again, not only are you in here to potentially edit this model, but because the create menu is here, you can make more models. So what I want to do is I want to draw my railing using the sweep command. Because that's what railings are. They're a path that the shape follows, and I might have a custom cross section I want to create that follows that path. So I can draw a profile and load the profile into Revit, or I can draw it on the spot. So here, what I'm doing, I'm going to do a sweep, because at its very nature, that's what railings are. I'm going to do a sketch a path or pick a path. I'm going to pick it. I'm going to tell the Revit where to draw this profile. I'm going to say, not profile, rather path. I want to go up this way. I want to turn the corner and go this way, this way, this way, this way, and come down to the ground. That's what I want the railing to do. And then, because this is a sweep, I accept that path. And you see, if I go to 3D, there's the path I have right there in black. And then here is where I can draw the cross section of my my railing member. Now I could, I gotta go to select profile here to activate these menus. And then here I can load a profile. So if you go to a generic profile family and draw a profile and load it into Revit, it shows up in this list. Or I can simply draw it myself on the spot. I can go to edit profile or load profile. I don't have a profile to load, so I'm going to draw it myself. The only issue is if I draw a profile now, I can edit it later, but it's easier to edit these things in the original source file. If you make a profile called, top rail custom, you can open that file, fix it there, and it automatically fixes your file here when you upload it. Otherwise, I can just draw it. So let me draw it here. I'll go to edit profile, and I use the commands here, and I'll draw a circle, for example, and I'll draw it right there, and I will draw a circle that is an inch and a half. Fine. Click. Or maybe I'll draw a little smaller. I'll make it an inch. So it's a 2-inch round circle. And if I accept the profile and accept this sweep, right? This menu is for the sweep. It draws that object right there. Custom. Then what I want to do is, if I were to finish the model, what will happen is you'll wind up with this, which looks bizarre, right? I got like this thing here, and it's on top of this piece here. Now, obviously, I can make this wall a 1/2 inch thick and make it out of glass. And suddenly I have a glass panel inside of this railing design, and that's fine. But what also Revit does is it lets you click on this model again, which now has 2 models. It has a sweep and a extrude, edit it in place, and I can tell this object just to be a dummy. Here where it says visible graphics, visible, I can just say no. So what that does is when I finish the model, this object disappears because it's not visible. It's a dummy object. It's there for me to use for tracing, but it doesn't remain behind and become visible. So you can make it invisible, which is great because now I have a tool to draw my railing, and then I can turn it off when it's no longer necessary, but I got the results here of that profile that I was after. I go back to plan view, I go back, double click here, I click on this object, edit in place, and it'll bring them both back. All right, it'll bring them both back because this is no longer invisible. I'm inside the family. That edit in place model, I'm inside there, working. So now I can continue doing my business here. I can continue creating new shapes that get combined with this railing that represent maybe the intermediate members. So, for example, if I want to draw another post here on an angle, that's another sweep. I would draw a sweep and then maybe use the sketch path command because I have nothing to trace anymore. I can't touch anything here. So I want to sketch my own path. And again, I'm instructed to sketch it out on top of that railing plane so it knows where to draw this drawing I'm about to make. So my path is going to be sketched out with the line command. I can simply just draw it here somewhere. I can try to pick something. See, I can't pick anything here. But I can draw a line, as an example, right across here at an angle. And then from there, I can offset it where I really want it to be. Maybe I want it to be 3 feet away. I'll put it there. If I take this, can I move it on the angle? Let's see if I can move it on the angle. I can try to move it on this angle here, 3 feet. I can make it hit the bottom of that top rail. And then when I accept it, again, what I've got is a 3D model that is a line, and right there is where I draw my profile. Again, select profile and either load it because you own it somewhere. Let me see if they have any railing profiles in here. They do not. Or you can make it from down here. You can grab. Oh, I can't because not in the same family. Well, you can make a family, a profile family, and load it into that menu. And for now, what I'll do is I'll just quickly will I cancel it now? Let's see. I'm not going to select it. I'm going to cancel out of this. Let me do one thing. I'm going to hit New Family. I'm going to do a P for Profile. Profile Family. This one here. I'm going to go into this family here, and I'm going to draw something, you know, with the line command. Say I draw something like that. And I give it dimensions, right? So let's say it's 3 inches, and maybe this distance is a 1/4 inch. Maybe it's supposed to be 1/2 inch. I'm not sure exactly what the placement is going to look like when this is loaded, but I'm going to File, Save As, right? Family, and I'm going to give it a name in my folder here. I'm going to call it Custom Rail, and now it's saved as a file. And then here I'm going to load it into my project. If I have more than one project open, it'll ask me which project to load it into. But I'm going to load it into my current project called Advanced Guardrail. That's my file. Hit OK. And in my file, I'm going to close out of this model. I'm going to go back to this drawing. I'm going to load that model in place. I am going to create a new sweep. I'm going to sketch a path on this plane called railing. I'm going to draw a line. Let's see, I'll just draw it here arbitrarily. And then when it comes to accepting this and choosing a profile here, I'm going to choose a profile I just loaded called Custom Rail. When you do that, it loads your custom design right into Revit right there. And then with that being said, you do have options here to manipulate it. So you can either change the original file and slide it up and down. You can see where the crosshairs are, and you see it moved it to the right of that crosshair because that's what it looked like in the family, in the file. But you do have options here to move it these directions. So if I said half the distance, negative 1.5 inches, you should slide it down, you see. Now it's centered. And I can also change the angle. I can flip it over. I have options here to manipulate how that drawing is placed at that crosshair right there. But let's say I accept it as is. In fact, can I rotate it? Let's see. Let's try 90. Apply. It rotates it, but this is probably off. So hit apply. And then I need to slide it down with the Y this time, not the X. Down this way, 1.5 inches. So 1.5. I'm not sure if it's positive or negative. Looks like it's negative. So if I do negative, you'll see it go the opposite direction. See, it moves it right there. And there's the line of the path. So it's going to draw a post right there. Hit OK. And there's the post. And it could have been smaller, obviously, but there's the post right there. And then if I'm working here in elevation, right, if I'm working here, I can grab that member. Let me go wireframe. I'm going to grab that member Here's copy. Here's multiple. I'm going to copy it from this corner of this tread to this corner, to this corner. Maybe even here, I'll copy it here. Oh, that's not a good place. Copy this, copy command with multiple from this corner to the tip of this stair, to the tip of this one, and so on and so forth, working your way up the ladder here. And I'm going to copy this one from this stair to this stair and see where it winds up. That's the end. And again, if I can draw one here vertically if I like. But the whole point of this exercise is that I can draw these objects in here. I draw one and then copy it. For good measure, I'll just copy this down to there, for example. And then I can accept it. And when you go to 3D, you see this is more custom, right? Obviously, if this was taller, I'm not sure if I can make that go to the center. But you see, well, I could, because I can change the path of this to be longer, to make it bite into the top rail, for example, as a design idea. But you can see my railing is doing its custom thing. See? You'd be hard pressed to kind of do this with Revit basic menus for railings. So this is more custom. Then when I finish this, I can duplicate it to the opposite side. Then they'll both be the same. So here in elevation, I click on this railing, edit the model in place. Click on these, edit the sweep. Again, the sweep is that profile right there plus this path, that path right there. So if I edit the path, I can pull this and make it longer. I made it go to the center line. So when I do that and I accept it, now these are not. I didn't make these duplicates exactly. I changed one, I won't change the others, but I fixed this one before. I should have done this first, but because I did this, I can accept it. And then when I do that, I can accept it here by finishing the model. And that one there is doing what I'm after. Right there. See that? Right there. Then you copy this however many times you need it, right? Then you'll get your design to look the way you want it to look. So this is one method of getting something more custom. Let me go back. Let me go into here. Let me edit this model. Let me grab this wall that was invisible, make it visible this time. And for the thickness, I want to make it, say, 1/2 inch of glass. So 1/4 inch thick in one direction and negative 1/4 inch thick in the other direction. So this is going from the center line out a 1/4 inch and toward me 1/4 inch. So together the glass is going to be a 1/2 inch thick. So when I look at that in 3D, you'll see from the center line, it's right there in the center of this design. And I can also come into here with that panel and give it a material. So here I can simply say glass. Glass, clear, glazed. Double click. And because you see it says visible? Yes, it's visible. I'll be able to see it. When I accept the model, glass will appear. So now you have this. See? So let's do one more round of changes, one more round of revisions here. I will look at this elevation and I will add, and you notice that I'm keeping all the parts together in one model in place, one in place model. I'm not drawing the pieces separately because when I copy this, I want all the parts and pieces to come together. Otherwise, they're going to be separate entities. So when I edit in place, I now have this piece, this member, this member. These are all drawn separately. The glass, all drawn separately, because I went to create. I can draw anything here, and as long as I draw it inside this place and accept it, they're all part of the same model. So one last sweep. As an example, I go to sweep. I sketch a path. I pick the plane I want to draw on, same plane as before, the railing plane, hit OK. And then using my drafting tool, I'm going to grab this guy, spline, and let's say I started here. Maybe I draw it to here, I draw it to there, I draw it to there, draw it to there. Maybe I terminate it right there. And as a spline, if you use them before, when you modify them and you click on them, you grab these anchors and you pull on them to adjust their curvature. So for example, here I can pull that down. I can pull this one up and back. And you'll notice that you'll get some interesting results here. Like that, for example. That's your path. What is the profile that's going to be on this path? If I accept the path, this is the sketch. I'm drawing the sketch of the path. I accept it. I did this just now. Then you'll notice in 3D, it gives you the target there. That's where it loads the family right there, those crosshairs. Right, remember this is my family, this is the crosshairs. So it's drawing that path right on the crosshairs. That's why you'll see it. Let me close this for a second. Don't need that. That's why you'll see it right there. So I can draw it here right now. I can select a profile and pick it from a list I've loaded, and that's where you loaded your custom designs. Or I can just draw it right here, right now, using my edit profile command, just draft it. So here, if I go in here, I can draw a rectangle, and maybe here I draw something, and this is a little a little tricky working in this manner because you know, it's hard to draft it this way because it's not giving me center. If I do a dimension from, see if I can do a dimension across here. Here are my dimensions. I want to hit equal here and then get rid of my dimensions. So what did I do? I want these lines to be equal from that center. So what I do is I do DI for dimension. I go from this edge to this edge, which is the center, to that edge. I want to be able to control equal. So when I pull this out of here, these dimensions, I can click on the dimension and use this little symbol right there called equal to space out this equal right there. Click. Now it's equal. I don't need this any longer. I can delete that. Well, now I can click on these and change these numbers. I can make it 1 inch. I can make this one. Well, that's an inch. I have to grab the equal again to get this one to move to be the same distance. You can see I can also dimension it here. I can mention that one there, and I can mention this one here at the bottom. And then you see it's rounding up. That's why I can't make it that accurate right now. But this one I'll make exactly half. Here's a little line I'm grabbing right there. You get the idea. As you move those lines, the dimensions become active, and you can move the dimensions around. These dimensions have the opaque background, makes it really hard to see. But anyway, I'm drawing this shape, my little custom shape right there. Whatever shape you want. When I accept it here, I've accepted the profile, and then here I got to accept the sweep. So now it puts it in right there. And you see it's going right through the model in the location where I drew that sweep. And the glass is, I forget, I made it like a 1/4 inch thick or something. So you can manipulate this shape and move out this piece if you want it to stick out further and change its design, right? Edit the sweep, select the profile. The profile will show up right there. Make this edge, here's the profile. Select the profile, edit the profile, and I can make that grow a little bit more on one side, and you'll see what the effect is when I accept it. It pulled it out. See? that distance right there moved out. So you can decide exactly what shape and what thickness and height you want this to be, or just draw it as a file, separate file. And lo and behold, you've got even a more custom ramp, or ramp rather, a stair. So those are the designs I wanted to mention, the design capabilities that Revit has when it comes to making railings. The rest of this stuff is just a matter of dealing with the stair command. This is one issue that people run into. If I draw a stair, and I'm going to follow it on its right side, so I'm going to choose support on the right. I'm going to draw a stair like this. And we'll try to draw it from the right side, so cancel this. I want to draw a stair right here using the exterior support on the right. Okay, so on the right, I'm going this way, click, I'm going this way, from here down, click and accept it. The problem people run into with this option is that when you look at this design, let me make these something that happens all the time. Guardrail pipe. Okay, take a look here. There. Came down at some weird steep angle, and it made a mess out of this intersection here. So what you have to do is figure out a way to get this handrail, this top rail, to come down, flatten out at 36 inches, or 42 inches rather, and then meet up with this guy coming across here. And you do that by grabbing the stair, going edit to the stair, taking this run of stair and moving it down. Now let's say I move it down a foot to show you what happens. 1 foot. So the landing got longer, and what we're trying to do is get this handrail to come down, 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 hit a place where it becomes horizontal, meets this member coming up here horizontally before it starts making a nosedive toward the bottom of the stair. So I'm trying to find that sweet spot. I move this down a foot as an example. If I hit OK and take a look at that stair, you see what happens here? Moving it back, that's more than a foot, made this top rail come down, flatten out long enough to make the turn, and then meet this member coming up from below and do its job. And so that remedies some weird conditions that happen when this riser and that riser there are too close together. You can see here, if I said distance between that stringer and this, that's 1'2". That's how far it is from the corner before it turns. And so that's one thing you can try to fix the clash that's going to happen here at the intersections here to make this look better. Another thing you can do is you can go into Revit and you can draw another stair. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to use this. Well, I guess this design had my funny looking railings attached to it. So I'm going to do a monolithic stair. And I'm going to do it on the right side. I'm going to go right. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to go down a little bit and turn the corner here. And if I, again, it's going to give me a clash, right? If I look in 3D, you see what happens there? I'm going to make these both guardrails. You see how it comes down and it drops? Like right there, it just drops. That's what you want. That's what will happen when these guys are so close together. The other alternative is to, again, edit the stair, grab the stair, move it down maybe 11 inches or the size of a tread, see if that works. Cancel that. Take a look at 3D, and it just hit it, but it fell apart. Revit has a really hard time with this when they're exactly where they should be and perfect. And you can try moving this back, whatever, another inch. So it's exactly 12 inches. You can see it doesn't quite figure it out, but Revit's not going to be perfect. I have a hard time of dealing with this situation with the stairs. And you don't want to fix a stair like that because of Revit. I mean, we know we can get that to work geometrically in real life, you can have this clash into that corner exactly in real life without a breaking like that. But that's a Revit flaw. But here you can also, the Revit's going this way, and you got a stair like this, but notice my stair goes in two directions. It's like a T. Well, how do you do that? Well, you can do is you can go into your stair and edit the stair. Take this half of the stair and duplicate it on a mirror line that you draw during the center of the stair somewhere. So somewhere in the middle here, draw a line across, a center line, and it flips it to the other side. Now, if you just accept it like that, you're going to get some weird stuff happening because obviously you can't figure out the landing. You see, the landing is all kind of messed up there. So what do I do? Let me get rid of these handrails. What can I do about that? All I can do is I can go back to here, edit the stair, and take the landing and make it join with that stair. And because it's joining that stair, it completes the process, and it'll take the railing with it. See? It took the railing up the stair, and it's stopping here at the second level. So it will make that railing continuous all the way across. You'll have to draw this railing on the inside edge. And so if I'm using, let's say, a guardrail design, I can say, give me a railing and use the same style pipe and say, here, 2 inches away from the edge, pick it here and pick it there and connect these two together, right? I can do that, right? I can do that and just trace those edges, and I want it to be 2 inches back. I like the way that looks, I think. Accept it, and lo and behold, you'll see that the stairs, the railings are on the ground because it's not hosted on this stair. So let's fix it. You click on the stair, and by the way, when you look at the plan view of the stair, you'll see the railings have a switch here that flip-flops where the handrail is located. So you can flip-flop the direction of the handrail. Currently, it's on the right side. You see it's on the inside right there. But I want to take that railing and pick a new host of the stair. Now it's on the stair. And notice it goes up, turns the corner nicely, follows what it should do, up and up and up, and gets to the top of the second floor. If you don't like the spacing here, which doesn't look quite right there, you have to click on this railing and modify the spacing by duplicating it and changing the spacing to be further out than 4 feet, because that's 4 feet. Or, as I mentioned earlier, click on the path of the stair and use this command here called split, and split it where you want it to be. Maybe every 3 stairs I want it cut, like maybe I want one here. 1, 2, 3. Let me see. 1, 2. This is the third step. So 1, 2, third step. Click. 1, 2, third step. Click. That's where the post will be. Because I dissected these lines into segments. The segments will cause the post to appear. For example, right there, maybe one right there. Now when you look at it in 3D, lo and behold, you've got posts at those locations right there. Here and here. And you see my post right there in the middle of that stair. 1, 2, 3, right in the middle of that stair. 1, 2, 3, right in the middle of that stair. I decided where those posts are going to go because I dissected that line into pieces. So that's some of the strategies you want to take into effect. So delete this, delete this, delete this. So that's what this is. A stair with this mirror to the other side. I drew this railing here. I decided where to subdivide these railings so they're in the center of these steps. I deleted the handrail from this design. I called it pipe at balcony. And you'll see here, there is no handrail. It's just a guardrail, so I don't fall over the edge here. And I wanted to wrap up and around. So I literally, on the second floor, you'll literally draw that. See? It's a loop. It goes all the way up, and you draw the rest of it all the way around. You take what Revit gives you, which is typically up to here, and use the line command. You just draw the rest yourself. Just piggyback on the end of that line and keep going, and draw the rest of that path that loops back to where Revit ended the railing. And so now it continues one big circuit right there. Here's one here. That's a solo handrail. You can see here there's no railings. You can see here what I've done. I got rid of all the balusters. And notice here, there's no top rail, but there is one handrail on the left side. And I called it the 1.5 inch solo because it has no brackets. And so here, when I edit that, you can see the settings here. That forces it not to have any brackets. So the design of the extension, there are no extensions. Therefore, no brackets. So you use these settings, you can get the same results. It floats. I'd have to design something more custom at these locations to get the brackets to show up if I want a custom design, but this does the trick. That railing goes up to there and stops right there. Except this one is continuous. In plan, this railing, edit the path, is one continuous line. It stops here, and then I keep drawing it beyond to get it to do its job, which is this one, or is it this one here? Edit path. This is the path. It stops it here normally, and I drew the rest of that line right there with that command. You cannot terminate this line anywhere. You can't stop it short. You can't have any breaks. It's one continuous, uninterrupted line. So you can't like stop here, have a gap for a column, and then pick it up somewhere else. If that's the case, you have to draw two completely separate railings. So remember that. The railings have to be one continuous path. Now, obviously, you could draw the one up to here, like right here, and then draw another one from there across, like here, for example. I can draw a railing here and put it right at the end of that railing and just continue going this way. And this is going to use the pipe design, whatever. I use the, I think it's the one called Solo. I just drew it randomly right there. And it looks like I put it in the wrong spot. I should have moved it over 1 inch. So 1 inch or some fraction thereof. I don't know how big that thing is, but it's in the wrong spot. 3/4 or whatever it is. So take a look. Here. Here's my railing coming up to there. And I just drew that randomly at the end of it. I kept going. So they're two separate pieces. One piece is there, and one piece is, now actually I could have made that one smaller because it actually starts over here somewhere. But you can see I can draw it continuously, or like this is continuous, or I can just draw it separately. There's no right or wrong there. Whatever you feel most comfortable with. But I hope that gives you some insight into how to draw things more custom in Revit. Your task is to go into your projects and create level tags where all your different heights are happening. Like if you want to stand on a certain place in your topography, you need to go into Revit, into levels here, turn this off, turn that off, and create a level tag somewhere. And when you make a stair, you can tell the stair to go from this level to that level there. See? Because making these level tags, wherever you decide to put them, allows Revit to draw a stair to that place, even though that's not a floor plan. See, it's black because I unchecked that box. I can then draw a stair in Revit that communicates with that level tag. Stair. Start the first floor, go up to any tag. I've got a tag called level 3. It will draw a stair to there, and it'll work out the math and figure out how many risers you need to get there. See? So as I cut a section through here, you see that goes all the way up to that level tag I had. So that's the idea. That's how you go about doing this in Revit. This is my level tag. I'm going to stretch it over to here so it's included in this cross section. See, it's like a plane, and I didn't include it in my cross section here. So when I do that, I'm going to turn off this. My tags were turned off. When I look at this section, I can now see that tag show up right there. This is like a plane. The plane has to intersect this box in order to be visible and seen. So that I stretch so I can see it. So you see the stair is going to, this is where the floor would go. And the stair goes up to one riser below where the floor is, or your grade or something. So that's how you can work with Revit to get your designs to work with your topography. Pick a spot where you want to stand on, draw the stair to that spot. They don't have to be floor plans, and sometimes they won't be. So I'm interested in seeing your models, seeing where your designs are currently. Again, they're all preliminary. The final project then is the next part of your final project is to put your windows and doors in and begin to think about materials and add some levels that represent important things in your design, like the top of the parapet, top of the roof, top of the courtyard, top of the exterior deck, top of anything that's important that you need to communicate with when you're building stairs, because you'll need those levels. Add room names to your design so we know where you're placing your rooms. And then we'll start talking about materials next. And by all means, draw your sidewalks so you know how to have access to your buildings